We see it every time we're in Disney World. People having the best vacation of their entire lives, and then people who are having the worst day ever because they made some mistakes that have completely tanked their trip. Don't be in that second group. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Now it might seem like some people just get Disney a little more than others, but the truth is, there are some pretty simple tips to follow to ensure you'll have a good time. Today, we're breaking down why some people have a great Disney trip and some don't. Now, let me say before we jump into this, that there will be parts of your Disney trip that will be stinky, even if you're having a great trip. There will still be things that go wrong, still be things that fall apart. It will always happen in just about every single Disney trip. So remember, you can't do everything perfectly, but you can set good expectations and be prepared when the things do go wrong. So let's dive into why some people have great Disney trips and some people don't. First of all, listening to bad advice. It seems like everyone who's been to Disney World or thought about going to Disney World has some piece of advice that's going to make or break your trip. The truth is, there's a lot of bad advice going around out there. Disney World is not a one-size-fits-all deal. Don't listen to Aunt Susan telling you how to have her perfect trip and follow that plan too closely. Your friend at book club may swear that the Polynesian is the only hotel worth going to, but if you only have a few days at Disney World and we're planning on mostly going to Hollywood Studios with your Star Wars loving family and hardly spending any time in your room, a hotel that's further from that park and one of the most expensive on property probably is not the best idea for your family. What works for one family might not work for another. The Disney dining plan is another huge divide. Some people swear by it, but others might be throwing money out the window if they add it to their vacation. The Disney dining plan, by the way, lets you prepay for all of your meals ahead of time, making your vacation seem a little more all-inclusive. But if you aren't going to eat 2 snacks a day or half of your group is a vegetarian and ordering the cheapest items on the menu, it may cost less to purchase all that food out of pocket instead of paying for a full dining plan. Basically, it's all going to come down to planning and deciding which hotels, restaurants, and vacation packages work for your family, not somebody else's. So I know it's hard. I know it's hard to plan a Disney trip. I know there's so much information to take in and it's exhausting and you just want to have, your friends in your Facebook moms group tell you where to stay and where to eat and what to do. But I promise you, that won't end well. Keep watching the DFB guide videos, keep researching, keep reading those blogs or whatever you're looking at, and get the full picture, get a full idea of what you can expect and what's going to be right for your family, because that pre-planning, that phase where you're just getting in all that information and figuring out what's right for you guys, that's going to pay off. It's going to make a big deal at the end. Okay, speaking of planning, the next reason why some people have great Disney trips and some don't is the planning aspect. You can definitely have a great time if you're winging it on a Disney World trip, especially if you're an expert and you've been there a million times and you know what restaurants you want to go to, you know what rides you want to ride, and you know you're going back to Disney World, so it doesn't really matter if you don't ride a particular ride this time around, you'll ride it next time. And we've planned plenty of trips last minute without a dining reservation or a fast pass. But if this is your one big trip to Disney World, or you only go once a year or only every couple of years, that kind of attitude's probably going to set you up for a bad trip, or at least a disappointing one, unless you're super flexible folks and it just doesn't matter to you as long as you're on property. We've seen too many people show up to Hollywood Studios at noon, ready to hop in line to ride that new Star Wars ride, only to be greeted by dozens of A-frame signs at the front of the park saying the ride has reached capacity for the day. Guess what? Those signs go up like 2 minutes after the park opens. They'll likely find out 4 hours too late that they should have been at the park before it opened if they wanted a chance to ride Rise of the Resistance. We've also seen lots of people learning about the Fast Pass system once they're already in the park. And while we're always going on about last-minute Fast Passes, you can't count on those. I once talked to a woman on Slinky Dog Dash. I was talking to my friend that I was with saying, oh my goodness, I bet a lot of these people waited in this line and they didn't have a Fast Pass for this ride and they didn't even know about Fast Passes. And the woman next to me said, well, wait a minute, can you get more Fast Passes? if you don't book them in advance. And I just wanted to spend the whole ride explaining to her how fast passes work, because I wanted to say, yes, you absolutely can get more fast passes if you didn't book them in advance. That's okay. Just, you can get fast passes right now and they're free and you don't have to pay for them. I mean, I literally wanted to spend the whole time explaining this to her, but I figured she probably didn't want to talk to me about that while she was riding Slinky Dog Dash. But I run into this a lot in the parks where people are doing things and I just want to be like, it doesn't have to be that way. Anyway, there are a lot of elements that go into a Disney vacation, and a little research can take you a long way. So know when your booking windows are opening for your dining reservations, your Fast Pass. 180 days out for dining, 60 days out for Fast Pass if you're staying at a Disney hotel, 30 days for everyone else. Know which restaurants you want to eat at and which rides you must go on before that window opens so you can make all those bookings and fit them in a logical way to your trip dates. It's totally free to make these reservations. Anyone with a park ticket can make a Fast Pass reservation, and anyone at all can make a dining reservation. There are only a few of them that are going to actually charge you up front for the food. If you don't know about the basics, you're setting yourself up to wait in a lot of lines, miss out on some great restaurants, and potentially eat in some really bad restaurants. Or, heaven help you, you might have to eat at Sunset Ranch Market, which no one should ever have to do because it's outside, it's super hot, it's super rainy, and the food's not that good. So let's do some planning, you guys. Let's do some planning together so that you don't have to have a bad Disney trip. Okay. Next thing is overspending. It is easy to spend thousands of dollars on a Disney World vacation. Super easy. In fact, you basically can't get away without spending thousands of dollars on a Disney vacation these days. But one thing you should never do is pay full price. There are so many discounts available all the time, and you should absolutely be checking those out. Disney regularly offers room-only discounts, and that means that you're going to get 10 to 40% off the standard rate of your hotel room. You can only book those if you're not booking it as part of a package. Then there's the free dining offer, which is a package deal that gets you a free Disney dining plan. It's usually a pretty good deal. Special ticket deals come around, like the 4-park magic ticket, which is a discounted 1-park per day ticket, and more. You'll find these right on the Disney World website. Look for that little line that says special offers. It's going to bring you to a page with discounts for Florida residents, military personnel, annual pass holders, and the general public, everybody else. If you save some money on that room or vacation package, you're going to have more money for fun things rather than just your hotel room. And along the same lines, another reason why some people have really, really bad trips is that they're busting their personal budget and it's all they can think about. After you've secured that vacation deal, don't go busting your personal budget on souvenirs, food, and extras that you don't really need. Don't spend more than you can afford. It's not worth the stress you'll be feeling the whole time to make it worth the money. Because you know what? If you're outside of your budget, it's still gonna feel like it wasn't worth it to you. Before your trip, set your budget for how much you'll spend on food. This is also where deciding on dining reservations will come in handy because you can price it all out ahead of time, look at those menus, and set a souvenir budget for everyone in the family. One great tip for making sure you don't blow your budget is loading up some Disney gift cards with everyone spending cash for the vacation. If your kids are old enough, you can give them each their own gift card and their budget. You can even get discounted gift cards at places like Sam's Club or Costco. You might save a few dollars on each, which can add up to a Dole Whip by the time your trip rolls around. But bottom line, take the trip you can afford. Or if you want to take a bigger, better trip, wait a year, wait a little while, and go when you can truly enjoy it and you're not just thinking to yourself, I can't believe this cost this much. All right, learning to deal when things go wrong. This is kind of referencing what I said at the beginning of this video. No matter how much you plan, things can still go wrong in Disney World, and you should factor in some contingency plans for when things do go wrong in Disney World. It starts raining and Test Track stops right as you are about to hop in line. Your kid has a meltdown, you're running late to your dining reservation, you get sick, you lose your new ears you just bought. There's a lot that can happen, and you gotta be ready to roll with all of it. Disney isn't some magical bubble where bad things won't happen. Don't get married to your plans and have your own meltdown when life has other plans for the day. Practice letting go of that Slinky Dog Dash Fast Pass when your family's just too tired to get to Hollywood Studios that day. We know you worked hard to get it, but focus on what's important right now versus what your original plan was. Your family needs a break. You guys want to go do something else. Sometimes you just have to skip that Rise of the Resistance boarding pass and play Uno at the pool. If you're running late or if you lost something, see if a cast member can help you out. If you were stuck on the Skyliner that stopped for half an hour and are now late for your dinner reservation, they could let it slide. Same thing for a missed Fast Pass. Stop by guest relations, explain the situation, and see if they can give you a hand. If someone is feeling a bit sick, stop by First Aid in the parks. They have plenty of over-the-counter medicines to get you back on your feet, or you can just sit in the AC for a few minutes if you need it. If anybody's not feeling well, that could also be related to dehydration, so make sure you get yourself to the First Aid location in whatever park you're in. They will make sure you get rehydrated and let you chill out there for a little bit. All right, the next reason why some people have great Disney trips and some don't is settling for less. Do not settle for less than what you could have. Now, we're not saying turn into a terrible entitled guest who acts like Disney World was constructed just for you and they somehow owe you something. But you are paying a lot of money for this trip. You've put in hours of planning, so if something isn't right, it's okay to ask nicely about a potential change. There are ways to get the best of what you're paying for. We even made a whole video about just that, so you should check that out next. If you booked a water view room at the beach club and you end up with a view of the pool instead of Crescent Lake, both count as a water view, but you probably didn't have the pool in mind when you booked it, head to the front desk and ask if they have anything else available. Or if you want a fireworks view at Ohana, request it when you check in for your reservation. You may not get what you request. It's absolutely not guaranteed unless you are paying for it specifically. You're paying for that request or that different room. But be nice if that's the case. Sometimes things just aren't possible, but at least you tried and you could end up with a much better view or better experience than the one you would have gotten if you hadn't asked. Another reason why some people have great Disney trips and some don't is when one person plans the whole trip. This one's especially important for large group trips. One person takes on the responsibility of planning everything and the rest of the group just kind of shows up and will probably be disappointed that they didn't get to do something they wanted to do. There's so much to do in Disney World. It would take months, if not years, to do it all. So ask your whole group, what are the top things you've got to do on this vacation? Include everyone in the planning so you don't make it to the last day of vacation to find out that your cousin is devastated that they never got to ride the monorail. And don't be afraid to split up large groups. Maybe not everyone's tall enough to ride the thrill rides, or maybe not everyone wants to. Split up that big group into smaller groups and then meet up for dinner. After everyone has had the day to ride what they want to ride, they're going to be much happier overall. There's no point in dragging the whole group around to stand outside a bunch of rides they don't want to get on. All right, next one we want to talk about is those unrealistic expectations. We already said it, Disney doesn't exist in a magic bubble that makes everything turn out perfectly. That extends to your family too. Your kids are still your kids, even in Disney World. If your kid needs a nap every day or must be in bed before 9 p.m. or they turn into a monster, that's not changing at Disney, and it might even get worse with all the extra activity and the stimulus and the crowds you're not experiencing in a day at home. Don't push yourself too hard to get everything done. Rope drop every day is not recommended even by the pros. Give yourself a rest day or a morning to sleep in. It is vacation after all. And again, be ready for things to go wrong. Be prepared to deal with them when they do. You know your family better than anybody, so keep your plans in line with what you know they can handle. If everyone's super grumpy about getting up early every day of the trip, you're probably going to have a bad trip. All right, next thing you really don't want to do in order to protect your Disney vacation is pack the wrong things. Some people just don't know what to bring on their vacation, and packing the wrong stuff can mean you have a pretty rough trip. Bringing the wrong clothes, like only jeans when it's the middle of August, or brand new clothes that they've never worn before, including shoes that will give you a blister halfway down Main Street, or cutoffs that mean after one ride on Splash Mountain, all the blue dye is just running down your legs. Or even leaving out the rain gear you're actually willing to use. Some of us aren't poncho people, okay? That can all add up to a pretty miserable trip. Tried and true clothing and shoes are essential to surviving Disney World. You gotta know how this stuff performs before you toss it in that bag. Break in those shoes ahead of time, maybe pack a second pair to switch things up. Even the most comfortable shoes start to hurt after walking 10 miles a day. And keep an eye on the weather. If you're going in early spring or winter, you might have some pretty wild weather changes from day to night, so pack layers that are easy to carry around so you have something to wear for the chilly morning hours. Next reason why some people have great Disney trips and some don't, and this applies to your life as well. Here's life lessons from AJ. FOMO, you guys. Disney World is huge and always adding new things. It's impossible to do everything at the parks on your trip, and that's okay. Don't let FOMO, which for those of you who don't know what that means, it means fear of missing out, get the best of you. Don't try to do it all because you'll burn out. Plan what you want to do and see, and everything else is gravy. Make a list. What are the top priority rides, the top priority restaurants? What snacks can you not live without? If you make that list and take care of those first, you'll probably have plenty of extra time for more stuff. But don't be upset if you didn't get to everything in the world, literally. This goes hand in hand with keeping those expectations realistic. Do not let Instagram and Aunt Susan make you feel like you didn't have a great Disney trip because you didn't get that one cupcake or ride that one ride or hug that one character. You do you, you guys. Comparison is the thief of joy. All right, and the last one I want to talk about here is stay in your lane. Don't compare your trip to everyone else's trip. Do what works for you. Don't force your kids to eat only salad just because Karen made her kids eat only salad. If you want your kids to eat only salad, go ahead, but don't do it because of the judgment you'd get from other parents back home. If you let your kid have a Mickey bar before dinner because you're on vacation and that's going to make your kid's entire day, go for it. It's your vacation, it's your family, it's your prerogative. Do what's right for you guys. That's all that matters. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Again, we can't stress enough here on DFB Guide. Expectations are key, making sure that you're not going into a Disney trip thinking it's going to be perfect and everything's going to go swimmingly. It's a big place. There's a lot that can go wrong. We try to prepare you here at DFB Guide for all of it. I hope we're doing a good job. But keep yourself on a short leash when it comes to things like comparing yourself to your friends' vacations or taking bad advice from people who don't really know your family and what you guys need. I always say that my job isn't to tell you what's good and bad. It's to tell you enough about things so that you know what's right for your family. Everything at Disney World is right for somebody, even Planet Hollywood. So stick with us, subscribe. We'll be sure to let you know about all the stuff you might need to know so that you can plan the best vacation for your family. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching, you guys. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog. I've had lots of bad Disney trips, believe me. We'll see you real soon.